What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel, and I'm super excited to be doing a live stream. It's been a minute since I have, but today we are talking about are widescreen videos dead? There's been such a rise in short form vertical content, and so we're going to be discussing what is that all about. You know, we're talking about short form vertical content today. So, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a Q&A as well. So I think it's going to be a really fun time, and just talking through some changes that have happened in the landscape of social media, as well as how that affects creators and what we can start to expect as we start to go throughout, these changes and these new ways of creating content. So if you're joining me for the stream today, thank you so much for hanging out and taking the time. I hope that this will be valuable for you. And we're going to go ahead and start, getting into this. So are widescreen videos dead? A little harsh, I guess. It's a little bit of a harsh way to say that. But I think it's a valid question because I think a lot of things have changed. And a lot of things have shifted over the past few years. So let me know in the comments below if you think that widescreen video is dying out or if it's still a strong contender, or is short form vertical content leading the way? All right, let me know in the comments below. I'm curious to hear your guys' perspective. I actually did put up a poll on YouTube in the community tab. So if you're not in the community tab, make sure to go check it out from time to time and participate in some of these polls, because it's not only good information for me, but it can be good information for you as well to know what are people thinking, what is the community thinking. And so I actually asked everybody, do you enjoy watching widescreen longer form videos, or do you enjoy watching short form vertical content? That's like under 60 seconds. Think TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, all that good stuff. So far, I'm going to go ahead and check the poll right now, actually, because it's been a few hours since I've posted it. So let's check it out and see what the results are as of right now. We have a few hundred votes in so far, and 9% of people say they prefer short form vertical content, whereas 91% prefer widescreen longer form content. So I think that's an interesting thing to consider. So let me know your thoughts below. And actually, I think I see some stuff coming through. Thank you guys for hanging out today. I'm a little rusty with the streams, so we'll see. Trying to get this stuff up. There we go. I'd rather watch widescreen any day. This is from After 5 Outdoors. I gotta say, I think that a lot of times I prefer widescreen as well. We've got David in the chat joining us. Your Alicia Way interview was dope. Thank you so much. I didn't even know that was officially out yet, so cool. I'm gonna have to go check that. That's awesome. That's cool. That's cool. That was a fun video to make. Let's see who else we got in here. In the Shadows Entertainment group, messaged me on IG. I'll try to get back to you. He says, I think widescreen is here to stay, definitely. All right, we're going to talk about that today. I think that's a strong opinion. I think that's a good opinion. Let's see, long form any day over short form any day from Christian. Awesome. So it is definitely good. We got James saying, maybe we should all make square videos that can simply work on both. I prefer widescreen content. Yeah, let's just meet in the middle. Everybody just start to do square. I like that. I like that, James. That's good. Cool. So again, thank you guys for, we've got one more, Spacey. I think videos with a lot of information should be widescreen. Awesome. Cool. So you guys are sending in those comments. Keep them coming. This is really cool. Let's go ahead and dive into this little presentation that I put together for you guys about widescreen versus vertical and all that good stuff. So, vertical video. It's a little bit of something that's kind of shown up within the past few years, right? Vertical video. I think that vertical video, and we'll do a little overlay here, vertical video, you guys have seen it if you've got a smartphone. You've seen the Instagram videos, the Reels, you've seen TikToks, you've seen YouTube Shorts, all of that good stuff. So this short form vertical content really is just a newer, interesting sort of way to engage. But my question that I was thinking about when it comes to this is, why did this show up in the first place? Like, why do we have this short form vertical content? And I think ultimately what it comes down to is a little bit of ergonomics. It's the way we hold this device, right? The way we hold our phones. It sort of optimizes itself to this vertical position. And advertisers and everybody started making, vertical videos a few years back. And I think it's an interesting concept because when it gets down to it, it has to do with framing, right? It has to do with framing. And that's sort of what we're getting to here. It's framing, it's aspect ratio. The thing that's interesting about framing is that we actually see widescreen. When we look around, like, our natural view is actually widescreen. That's why traditionally TV shows and movies and things, they're widescreen. They're sort of formatted to be in the way that we see and experience the world, right? And I think that's a very interesting thing to consider. When then you go to this vertical format, it's no longer as natural. It's no longer the way that we see and experience the world, but it's ergonomical because all of us are holding these and watching and consuming content this way. And you would think, well, couldn't people just turn the phone? I agree. I feel like we could. I still do that most of the time, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people just don't take the time to do it. And so social media platforms are starting to optimize and have, really transitioned into optimizing content for vertical. And why this is interesting is because it actually frames a person, right? Like, if I was to frame myself within a screen, typically you can fit more of me, like more of my whole body, into the vertical screen because we're shaped tall like that. That's how we are shaped as people. And so I think that is also an interesting thing to consider with this vertical content, is that people fit inside of it pretty good. The problem is you don't have the context of storytelling and the environment as easy as you do with widescreen and the natural way we see things. And so it creates this conflict. You're creating videos and, filmmakers, videographers, people that have been making YouTube content for years. We're so used to that 16:9 widescreen format. And lately, everybody has been shifting, and all the platforms have been pushing, right, this vertical video, this vertical video. And the reason why everybody is pushing this, vertical video is because every TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, they're all competing to be the winning platform, the most dominant platform that's known for short form vertical content. And that's why it's being pushed so heavily right now, because everybody's trying to win. Instagram is coming out with Reels play bonuses, and TikTok has risen and everybody's trying to compete with TikTok. And then YouTube Shorts has their monetization fund for YouTube Shorts and all of that stuff. And so these companies are putting in money. The algorithms are being optimized to push short form vertical content. And all because right now everybody's competing to be the established force of this medium, right? And so I think that's something to consider as a creator. Can you leverage your content to take advantage of this push, since the algorithms and the companies seem to be accelerating and predominantly pushing this short form vertical content? So in this season, could it be a good tool to consider if you're somebody who usually just makes traditional widescreen videos? I'm going to give you some tips throughout the video today on what you can do to kind of like leverage both, because I think we're at a place now where they're going to be coexisting for a while. All right. So framing, we've talked about that. And I think one of the best ways you can do for framing your content now, right, instead of just shooting vertical or just shooting widescreen, I think it's to try to start framing your content in a way that it can be repurposed for vertical. So if you can make a nice widescreen long format video that you can then cut up and say you have like a 10-point video on YouTube. It's a 10-point traditional widescreen long form content video. Maybe it's about 10 to 15 minutes long, really value adding 10 points. Could you then cut up each one of those points into a vertical video that you can post as reels, as TikTok posts, as YouTube shorts, and get the most out of your content? So you start with the longer widescreen one and then repurpose it into these posts. I think that's really going to be a good way to leverage this idea of having existing widescreen and short form vertical content together, right? So can you frame your content in a way that you can repurpose it? I think that's going to be huge moving into, the present and even the future. So I want to talk about this topic of timeless versus trendy, all right? Timeless versus trendy. I think over the past few years, because all the companies are kind of, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, they're predominantly fighting to be established as the main, platform of short form vertical content. We've seen a rise in trends because they're pushing that content. It's getting tons of views, especially on TikTok and Instagram Reels. It's just going crazy. And the issue is on both Instagram and TikTok, these videos are sort of like here today, gone tomorrow. You post them maybe for a few days or a week, they'll get pushed, they'll go to different accounts, but pretty soon after that, they're sort of not really getting any views. They just sort of die out, right? They kind of aren't existing as long versus a widescreen long form video that's posted onto YouTube that could continue to get views for years and years and years to come because it's a search-based platform, whereas TikTok and Instagram are not. It's very much a social media content first platform, right? So I think that's something to consider when you are making these decisions on the type of content that you're wanting to invest in. While short form vertical content can get you a lot of views up front, long form widescreen content that lives on a platform like YouTube that's search based can be a better investment because you're going to continue to get the views, slow growth over time, always being discoverable depending on how you optimize it and go about creating it. And to me, if I'm going to spend time making a video, I would rather spend the time into making something that will continue to get me results and work for me for years to come versus the more instant gratification sort of posts like, can I post this and get a ton of likes and views right away, and then it dies off. So those are things to consider. But again, what is even better is to focus on that evergreen long form widescreen content and then also repurpose it to get the best of both worlds. All right. So I think that's a cool thing that you can do. So again, it's that idea of timeless versus trendy, right? One is timeless, short form, or one is timeless, and that would be the widescreen, longer formatted videos that are continuing to be discoverable on YouTube versus the trendy content that could get massive amount of views up front, but in the long run won't be working for you as well, right? So be thinking about what each one can do for you and how you can leverage it with your content, okay? Let's move along here. Music and sounds. I think this was an interesting thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about when I've been thinking about short form vertical content in general. I just think it's a very interesting time to be a content creator. You have to understand that like never before has there been such public access to chart topping songs, right? That are owned by these crazy, record labels. Like any creator right now on Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube Shorts, like you can use like popular songs in your content and be getting paid for it without having to pay for music licensing. And that is just such a new thing. Like that has never happened at this scale before ever in the history of the world. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a new brave era of content creation. But with that said, I don't think that it's necessarily something to bank on, because I don't know if it's going to be around forever. I think that, Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, because they're fighting to be the predominant platform, they're trying to make it more fun to use. They're partnering with these record labels and doing all this stuff. And I think eventually when one does win out and become the winner, I don't know, if we're going to be able to have access to the popular songs for our short form vertical content forever. So that's something to think about, because again, this has never happened before at this scale. And I think it's because all these platforms are pushing to be the winner. So enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy using the songs. I think it's a really cool, fun thing, but just keep in mind, it can be a little tricky. Like, I've encountered some stuff before where it's like, all right, I'm going to make a video on Instagram Reels, right? Like, I made a video, you guys can go check it out on my Instagram, but I made a video a while back where I made a fun little Batman video, and it had trailer music from the new Batman movie. And I made it on Instagram, everything was good, and I posted it. But then on YouTube, it's like I can't do more than 15 seconds of that track. So then I have to recut it for YouTube, because on Instagram it's 30 seconds. And then on TikTok, I couldn't even find that same track to use that I did on the other two. So it gets confusing, because it's like not all the platforms have all of the same songs, and not all of the platforms can use the same amount of time on all of the songs. So it gets a little confusing. But the way to avoid that is to actually just go back to the traditional way of, not using the chart topping songs like that, and just actually licensing your music so that you own the rights and can legally use it and have the license to do it on any platform. It takes a big headache out of that, the searching process and everything. And that's why I want to, actually talk to you guys a little bit about today's sponsor, which is Soundstripe. And you guys hear the music behind me right now. Soundstripe is where I get all of my music for YouTube videos and client projects. I talk about them all the time because I just genuinely think it's such a great tool for content creators to have. Genuinely, it's just so good. And the reality is, with short form vertical content, it can still be very useful, because you're able to use this music legally and repurpose it across any of the platforms, and repurpose it whatever length. There's not certain cutoffs depending on YouTube versus Instagram, so it makes that whole process a lot simpler, right? And so if you guys want to check out Soundstripe and are curious about what sort of tracks they have and what kind of music they have, I actually have a playlist on there with some of my personal favorites that you can go listen to. They've been kind enough to feature me on the website, so you guys can go check that out. And going beyond that, I see that, they have a ton of awesome filter tools, right? So that can be such a pain as a creator when you're trying to find the right track for your videos, and you're looking through all the where's the royalty free stuff, or you're trying to reach out to artists on SoundCloud or whatever it is that you're doing. Like, that can take so much time and ultimately still not give you what you're looking for. But if you go through a tool like Soundstripe, you can actually use their filter tools to go through the genre, the mood, the characteristic, the key of the song, the tempo, the energy. Like, you can really dial it in and get some awesome results quickly. And the best part is that they're super affordable. I actually used to spend over $4,000 a year on music before I found out about a website like Soundstripe. Music licensing is very expensive, and that's why I'm saying, be aware of the realities that with this short form vertical content, it's not something that has always been around where we can use these chart topping songs. So all that to say, you can get it in their creator plan for $120 a year, unlimited downloads for all of their music. It's a really good deal. So I would definitely check it out. And you can use code creative20 to save 20%, which is really cool. All right. So again, getting into this idea of music and sounds, another thing to consider with this short form vertical content is the algorithm is tending to push, these trending audios. And I think this can be like a very good thing and a very interesting thing, because when there's these trending audios that the algorithm is pushing and everybody's jumping on the trend, it's good because you can leverage that to get views on your content, but it's also, in my opinion, it does sort of hurt the overall creativeness of the creators, because everybody's just kind of jumping on these trends, and it's kind of like less original content, which also means there's a space for more original content. So I think it's important to try out trends and make them work for your niche and get creative on how that can work. But I also do think it's very important to continue to be unique and creative. While everybody's just trying to jump on a trend, you can still come out and make something unique and interesting that will stand out. Because as a viewer, I don't know about you, but as a viewer of short form vertical content, it can be a little bit annoying to kind of see the same 10 to 15 trends every time I look at a new video. But then when I stumble upon something new and creative and fresh, it's like, oh, that was refreshing, right? So I think that's something to think about with all of this. You know, I think it's a good thing to think about and consider. So let's talk about a few power tips regarding this short form vertical content era that we are in. I think one of the best things that we can do is really to like prioritize value adding content, right? Like at the end of the day, good content will win. Despite all of the strategy, despite if it's widescreen, despite if it's vertical, at the end of the day, it's really going to come down to like, are you making value adding content that's going to like add something to the viewer, whether that's making them smile, entertaining them, you know, giving them information, solving problems, you know, just showing them something cool or unique, like inspiring them. If you can focus on not so much like what you're going to get out of posting the content, which is like, oh, if I post this, I'm going to get views, I'm going to get, you know, brand deals, I'm going to get subscribers or followers, I'm going to get influence. If you can change your perspective to instead focus on what is the viewer going to get out of this exchange? How are they going to feel? How are they going to be transformed? If that can be at the forefront of your mind as you're coming up with a content plan and executing on your content creation, it is going to make a massive difference on the impact you will have, which will ultimately lead to those results that you want for yourself. But at the same time, you'll feel very like confident and be able to like operate from a place of, you know, courage and knowing that you are creating something that's purposeful, right? You're giving purpose to the content because you're thinking and considering the viewer, whether it's widescreen or short form vertical. Right? So be thinking about that, because that's going to be the key indicator. I think that's going to be the key indicator of really what will make the difference for you as a content creator. Okay. So my strategy, when I think about short form vertical content, I would say that my strategy right now, and again, this stuff is always kind of changing and molding and shifting as new trends show up, as platforms decide to push different things, as algorithms change, like it's always sort of fluid. But right now, and this is why I like to do these live streams, is just to kind of come at you guys with like what's fresh, what I'm seeing is working, and kind of give you guys some advice there as a content creator myself who's trying to figure all this out as it's ever changing, right? But right now, what I think is working well is to still focus on widescreen long form content, such as YouTube videos. You know, I think YouTube is still the best place to focus your time. I think that you can grow very fast on TikTok and you can grow very fast on Instagram. But I think that it can be a little bit of a viral overnight type of a success, and it may not have the longevity that growing on YouTube would have. And so what if you instead you can focus your time on YouTube, and what you can do is make long form widescreen content like typical YouTube videos, and then repurpose it into short form vertical content. Then you can be casting the net, you know, with the short form content. It's like, can this bring in views, right? But then when you do get the views on TikTok or Instagram, you're able to then direct people with a call to action to go towards your YouTube channel where you have already the long form content, where they can get to know you more. They can get to hear your perspectives and your insights and your thoughts and the way you approach things more than they can with a simple minute long video, right? So that's just my own personal thoughts with this that I think is a good strategy for now. With that said, you should still jump on trends that you feel like will apply to your niche. So can you see a trend that's popping off on, Instagram or TikTok that you can do in a way that's relevant to your audience to get eyeballs and kind of cast the net to get more people interested in your content in the first place? But then also add them a ton of value on YouTube with evergreen content that will continue to get views for years to come, right? So that's really I think the greatest strategy that you can use at the moment in order to position yourself for longevity and to position yourself to actually be making a full-time income doing this sort of, career that's emerging in this whole creator economy, right? Definitely it's strongest when you can make short form vertical content that is geared for that platform. So when you are repurposing the content, really think about don't necessarily include at the end of it, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Because if you're posting that on Instagram, chances are they're not going to jump over to YouTube right away, and they can't subscribe from there. So instead, maybe the call to action at the end of the repurposed content could be some text or something that says, share this or save this. Think about those little things, those little shifts as you're repurposing your content to really make it excel on the platform that it's going to and serving your audience there. Because the more that you can directly serve your audience, it's really going to be where you start to see results and ultimately see growth. Okay. So that's sort of my thought process with this stuff. I just wanted to hop on here and do this live stream to talk through some of this stuff. It's been on my mind a bit, this whole idea of, for me, I am somebody that's been creating content for a long time. I've been full-time creating content with my own business since 2015. And in 2015, vertical video wasn't so much on the radar. It was very much widescreen and traditional video commercial spots, movie type stuff, widescreen, because that's the way we see everything. And so shifting to this vertical has been an interesting challenge, but it's been fun. And I think the coolest thing about it, especially with just short form content in general, is it forces you to sharpen your skills. It's can you tell the same value adding information that you would have done in a 10-minute video? Can you condense it into a 1-minute video? Can you condense it to 30 seconds, to 15 seconds? It's a great challenge to really cut the fluff, right? It's a great challenge to really get to the main point, get to the meat of it, and save people time and condense their learning experience. Those are really interesting techniques that as a creator, it will help you grow with and sharpen with, right? So I think that's all cool stuff. What I'd like to do now is just kind of hop into a Q&A. So if you guys have questions about anything, it can be about lighting, it can be about, cameras or audio or editing or strategy or income, any questions, this is the time. Let's dive into a little bit of Q&A. And I think it'll be a cool little time. So let me know your questions. Just hanging out here for a minute, letting people hop on. And it's great to see you guys, by the way. Thank you so much for hanging out. And I'll take this time to just go ahead and plug something real quick. If you are newer to content creation and you are wanting to just learn a little bit more about how to use your camera, I'd love to invite you to check out my free course, which is at supersimplecamerasettings.com. This is going to be a place where you can learn how to, adjust your ISO, shutter speed, aperture, white balance, resolution, and frame rates. So if any of those terms are scary or unknown to you, I try to break it down very simply so that you can go from auto to manual in minutes, which can really help you optimize your content and put quality out there, right? Awesome. So again, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'll give you guys a minute to kind of ask away. And keep letting me know as well, like, are you guys interested in vertical content? Or are you interested in widescreen content? Personally, it depends on like what I'm doing. You know, I enjoy both. And that's why like I do think that both will continue to last, because there's so many times where widescreen is like more enjoyable to watch. It's longer form content. Sometimes I just want to settle in. Like, I just want to be like, hey, I'm going to watch this for like a good 20, 30 minutes, right? Like, I just want to like get some good information, or I just want to like relax and enjoy something entertaining. And I think like it's here to stay for sure. Vertical video is kind of like a bit sporadic, you know, like it's sort of like kind of mindless scrolling, time consuming stuff. And it can be super funny and it can be kind of entertaining or inspiring, but I think there's something to widescreen long form content that is just, at the end of the day, you get more out of it when it's done well. But again, if you can do either one well, you'll win. All right, we got a question from Hasit Nanda. Thank you so much for asking. He says, what is your current light if you have to travel with one? Okay, cool. So if I have to travel with a light, which I am going to be doing later, later in June, I'll actually be traveling, which is going to be fun. And I'll have to take you guys along for some of that experience, maybe in a vlog or something. But if I have to travel with a light, longer travel, as far as I need to pack it in a travel bag or a suitcase, I think the G2 Pocket RGB or the Ulanzi VL49. So the G2 Pocket RGB or the Ulanzi VL49. The Ulanzi is a little cube light. It's very good. The G2 is great because it's a little bit stronger. Either one is good. I'll try to link those down below so that you guys can get some links to those, all right? But that would be my personal option. Now, if I'm just traveling around town for client work, probably a flapjack light or, you know, the Mount Dog softbox. I think having stuff that's lighter weight and easier to bring with you is a win every time. I don't like having to deal with large equipment, though it is powerful and great. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, we got another question here from Dean. Do you use any type of black diffusion filter to get that blown out look on your lights? It's always cool. No, so I don't. Basically what I do is I just balance out, you know, I kind of balance out like the brightness of the lights, and I am using a Sony 20mm 1.8 lens, which I think that's part of the magic of the look, is having that 1.8 aperture on a wide angle lens. It's a lot of depth for a wide angle. Most wide angles don't have quite that much depth. So using that, and I'm shooting at 1.8. So that kind of helps bring a little bit into the, bloom of the light. That's a great question, Dean. But no, I'm not using like the Black Mist Pro filter. I'd like to try it sometime. I haven't actually tried it before. It does seem pretty cool. Which, if you don't know what that is, if you're out there and you're watching, you're like, what are they talking about? The Black Mist Pro filter is like a little filter that you can screw onto the front of your lens that kind of adds a little bit of like haziness and a little bit of like just cinematic style to the shot. So pretty cool. So Classy Music says, where do you recommend to learn editing videos on Adobe Premiere? YouTube. I 100% recommend YouTube. Skillshare would be another great option. I don't personally edit on Premiere. I am a Final Cut user, so you won't learn Premiere on my channel as of now. But I would recommend, even Peter McKinnon. He's got some stuff. And I'm sure there's just a bunch of great channels that are just super geared for Adobe Premiere. There's probably just a whole channels about editing on Adobe Premiere. So YouTube for sure. Unfortunately, you know, I'm a Final Cut editor, so I can't help you there. But thank you for asking, Classy Music. All right. We got a comment from Jesse Stone. Wow, this is live. Thank you, Ben, for teaching me about lighting. Watch your video like 20 times to help set up studio. Thank you. Thanks so much, Jesse. I appreciate that. Yes, this is live. If you got any questions, let me know. But yeah, 100%. This is fun. I'm glad that those videos and the content have helped you. That's my goal here on this channel, is to help you guys with your content. So my content is here to help your content. So always let me know if you've got the questions. We've got a comment here from Kevin. Hey, your setup is amazing. Thanks so much, Kevin. I appreciate that. It's been, you know, years in the making, right? So again, I've been doing this full time since 2015, and this is not a setup that just happens overnight. You know, there's been a lot of time of learning things and trying different gear, and now doing YouTube. Companies will send me stuff from, you know, here and there, which is pretty cool. So again, thank you so much. Just to break it down for those of you who are interested, I have a Mount Dog softbox, which I talk about all the time on the channel. It's remote controlled, color temp adjustable, which is pretty cool. So I can adjust the color temperature. And the really cool thing about it, turn it up just a little bit, is it's $50. It's not bad at all. The price is great for what you get. Really soft, flattering light. I've got two Godox TL120s back here, which I believe are the 4 feet tube lights. And these are remote controlled as well, which is super fun. So I can come in here and, you know, kind of do a bunch of crazy stuff with the lights. I can make them do fun effects and all that. I love these things. They're super cool. Big fan of them. All right. Jesse's got a question. Would you say 4600 Kelvin lighting? Seems that was your preference. One light dimmed less than the other to create shadow. Okay, so 4600 Kelvin can work, yes. Personally, I prefer and recommend 5600 Kelvin because that is the color of daylight. And when you're running with RGB specifically, it will look a lot more natural. So notice this pink color right now, right? If I were to change to 4600 Kelvin, for example, let me do that. Obviously, I look a little orange, but let me adjust it on my camera. 46. Notice the color of the pink has shifted quite a bit. I look fairly natural because I've got 46 on my key light and I've got 46 on my camera, but these lights now look a bit more purpley blue. So something to consider. I personally, I like to do 56 instead. So let me get to that. So go back to 56 on the key light, right? So I'm a little blue right now. So let me change my camera to 56. Right now, these lights look more realistic to how I'm seeing them here in person, right? So to me, 56, especially with RGB, tends to be a better look. And now I've got these back at 32. So I want them to specifically be a little bit warm. If I wanted them pure white, I could go 56. Now I've got white. Okay. Hopefully that will help answer. And again, that is all with using manual camera settings. And if you are somebody who is looking to learn about what the heck I'm talking about with all this 36 and 56 and 46 Kelvin, you can learn all of that at supersimplecamerasettings.com, which is my free course all about camera settings. So definitely go check that out if it's something that you're into. All right. Looking through. Hold on, guys. All the comments are coming in. I got to scroll up. Dean, are your slides you showed just overlays in different scenes? I really enjoyed these lives. Thanks. It's a little bit of both. Some are overlays in a different scene, and some are just master overlays in my software. I'm using Ecamm Live, which is a fantastic streaming software. I really enjoy it. It's insane. The quality of the image is nuts. Like I'm streaming in 4K and it's being recorded to my computer at the same time. And all of my audio with the music and everything is getting split up into different tracks for repurposing. And I get to do all these fun, different little scenes. I have them programmed onto a little stream deck. I can do my presentation all within Ecamm on one screen. I can show and hide stuff. I can do crazy stuff like this. So really cool. Ecamm is where it's at. Hopefully that will answer your question. It is primarily different scenes. But you can layer stuff and move stuff around, which is awesome. So Kevin's asking, which camera and lenses am I using right now? So the answer to that is, for the camera, I'm using a Sony a7C. And I'm going to make a video on this soon, I think, because it is my most favorite camera that I've ever had. It's so small. It's got a flip out screen, unlimited record time, full frame, and it shoots in 4K. And so I have the Sony a7C paired with a 20 millimeter 1.8 G Master lens. To me, that's just such a good studio combo. You get the full frame, you get the extra width and the depth and all that goodness. Love it. Definitely my go-to setup. But that will probably run you between the camera and the lens combo around $2,500 to $3,000. And so that's pretty expensive. If you're in the market for a new camera and that's a little bit out of reach, the Sony ZV-1 and the Sony ZV-E10 can give you amazing results for, probably more than half the price. And I've got videos on both of those cameras on the channel. So if you're interested, those are great as well. All right. We've got a question from David. He has a Nikon 5300. Should he replace it for a Sony mirrorless camera? Maybe. You don't have to. I think that there's an old quote I've heard that is, the best camera is the one you have on you. So definitely don't wait to make videos until you replace it. Ultimately, just ask yourself, is this camera giving you the results you want? And is it making it easier or harder for you to make content? I think the Sony mirrorless cameras are amazing. They have amazing autofocus, and a lot of them are very customizable and geared towards video. And so in that sense, yes, I would say you should switch. But if this camera that you have now, the Nikon, if it's working for you, just keep it. There's no pressure there. Yeah, but I love Sony personally. I've shot on Canon. I've shot on Panasonic. I've used friends' Fujis. I've used friends' Nikons. Sony, for me, it just makes the most sense for videographers. I think a lot of people like to talk about Canon skin tones and stuff like that, which is cool. But, with Sony, the resolution and the autofocus and the low light, to me, it's just a win. It's just a win. So that's why I use them, why I like them. I'm not at all connected or promoting one camera system only. I think they are all fantastic, especially these days. You can't go wrong. So Jesse says, wow, yes, big difference. Thank you. Glad that helped. Calvin's saying, I would highly recommend your free course. You told me about it last week and it took time to watch. I learned a lot. Thank you so much, Calvin. I'm really glad that helped. Thank you for the endorsement. All right. We got Clow here. What's up, man? I've seen you here before. Thanks for hanging out. He's saying, he's asking, what's the best Sony APS-C lens for YouTube? To me, it depends. YouTube spans so many different things, but to me, it's the Sigma 16 millimeter 1.4 Sony mount lens. For talking head, for live streams, you'll get that nice blurry background, and it's great. Jesse's asking if I recommend dimming left or right light to create shadow, or it's not necessary. That's completely up to you, Jesse. You can have, if you have a left and right light, you can have them equal outputs to have it flat, or you can dim one side or the other. Completely up to you, no right or wrong. Dimming one side will create a little bit of dimension in your shot. That's personally what I like to do. That's totally up to you. No right or wrong. It's art. So you get to decide what you like. And we've got one more from Classy Music. I think this will be the last one for today's stream. It says, I'm going to start making videos. Do you recommend to start filming with the iPhone 12 in 4K or a Nikon at 750? Use both. Use both. If you're doing just talking head stuff, personally, I think the Nikon, because you can replace the battery and replace out the SD card as it gets full with memory, and then you can have your phone not be full and dying all the time. So yeah, if you got the camera, use it. But if you're on the go and you want to get a quick shot, or if the big camera is preventing you from getting more shots, then just use the iPhone. Mix them together. It will be fine. It'll be fine. Cool. One more question from Jesse. He says, when you create dimension by dimming, do you keep one light 100% and the other 80? Or what difference do you like? So I typically never run my key light and stuff at 100%. I'm using this Mount Dog right now at probably like 20%. And I actually don't have a fill light. So if I turn these backlights off right now, this is just the key light, and I have this shadow on this side that's purposeful. It's angled up kind of diagonally over here. You can see the catch light reflection of where it's at. And it's creating this drop shadow, which I think is a little bit more flattering than just straight on, where you can see like, you know, every like little wrinkle and every little like whatever. It's you know, having a little bit of drop shadow can be complimentary and flattering. And then I've got these lights kind of outlining me. So it's a very simple sort of setup for me today. So I typically wouldn't recommend 100%, because what's going to happen is if I run this 100%, which I guess I could do real quick, 100%, then I'll turn this down. Right, so now I'm exposed a little better. I just lost all of the color behind me because this light is overpowering it, and I've had to turn my exposure down. So something to consider. Personally, I like to run the key light a little dimmer, maybe around there, and then I'll turn up my exposure a little bit. That's my screen. Somewhere around there. So now I've got a lot more color coming out of the background, right? Cool. Let's see. All right, guys. Well, hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully it's been, you know, a good little lesson today. It's short form vertical content is so huge. It's so being pushed right now across the board, and you know, jump on it, do it, experiment with it. But I wouldn't suggest neglecting long form widescreen content, because I do think in the long run it's here to stay, and it's going to be videos that will continue to work for you on YouTube, which is a search-based platform. So hopefully you got some value out of this stream today. I love getting to, you know, talk about some of these ideas with you guys. And, you know, we'll be here doing another live stream soon. But in the meantime, stay creative. Peace.